You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Get It Right Texoma.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Absolutely. I'm Terry, and this is
Trey.
and this is the trio. Our sound is going out, so that's good.
Yeah.
On the live stream. So share this. Let everybody know we're here, and share this, and comment also, because we can see that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're listening to Texoma Trio. You have Terry, Trey, and our friend Mike.
Up here now. We
Mike's
got him.
over
We
here.
we have him over here
Yeah,
now, so you can see
he's
him.
with us all the time. Our podcast partner in heaven there, Mike, and he's with us.
Yes, there it is. We go live every Friday morning, 7:30. Man, we're here with very few exceptions, but we're going to be here and doing it live. But if we aren't live, we'll record it ahead of time.
We'll be Memorex.
Yep. And like I said, chime in, and we'd love to have you comment, like, and share, and do all that good stuff. And also provide some feedback. We've already gotten some feedback here a couple of weeks ago. We appreciate that. And we're doing our best to kind of accommodate. Not comply.
You will do what we say. We have ways to make you.
There you go. So, let's get into it. This is Get It Right Texoma.
Yeah, we don't have a guest today.
No.
But we do have some great guests coming up. I was just going to let people know in the next couple of months. Erica Munt with Campfire, Maria James with the Chamber, Billy Pate with the Boys Ranch that's here in Wichita Falls. Of course, Steve Garner, who's a kind of a frequent flyer with us here. Tobin McDuff with KFDX, longtime newscaster and sportscaster with KFDX, and then Donnie Lee, Wichita Falls ISD. Yeah. That's in January, February.
Well, that's right. Yeah, there's nothing going on around here.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So as we always start, we start with our local restaurant focus, and this one is one of the probably the oldest restaurant in Wichita Falls. And one of the oldest businesses. It's Prine's Barbecue and Catering.
Catering, yes. And we have
there you go.
There we go. So we are here, and they've been around a while. They've got a different kind of barbecue, though. It's not a super sweet.
No, they've got a different kind of barbecue sauce. It's it's not a vinegar base, but it's not a very sweet barbecue sauce. Yeah. But they've got great food there. Their chili do not sleep on their chili. I love their chili. And it's Mr. Prine, one of like great granddad Prine's original things that he had on the menu way back when you could buy it frozen, or right now they have Frito chili pies, or they did as of a couple of weeks ago, because I went in there to buy some chili and they had Frito chili pie.
Wow.
That pimento cheese. Their pimento cheese is
phenomenal. The pimento cheese. Yes, that's good.
If you're into pimento cheese, even if you don't like it a lot, and here's a hot setup. Get you a little carton of the pimento cheese.
Okay.
And then get you a quarter pound of the chopped brisket with no sauce on it, and mix that together. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
But they've been there a long time. They're right there on, and what's their address?
It is 1209 13th.
13th Street.
So you kind of, is that what, still one way? No, it's two.
It's
two way there. So you can just turn right off of Broad. And I've mentioned this before.
It's by Austin Elementary, the old Austin Elementary.
Yeah, for those who, and maybe the people who have been here forever also use this, but to remember which way Broad and Holiday go, it's Broad goes to Burkburnett.
Yeah.
And Holiday goes to Henrietta.
There you go.
That's somebody's.
It depends.
That's in the direction of it.
Kind of depends on which way you go after when you split.
Yeah. But that's my little memory jogger there. I could never remember. I was like, which way is which? So Broad, if you get on Broad, and it's just down a little bit.
Broad is northbound. Holiday is southbound.
Well, that too. But that doesn't.
No, I get it. I'm just so people know. But Prine's Barbecue, they're on 13th. They've been there a long, long time.
Right.
And there's their hours.
Yep. Closed on Mondays, but Tuesday, and Sundays. So, but they're open. Looks like I've got 6:50, 6:56, 6:40, and 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're open till about 6 to 7.
Yeah. There you go. Close to 7.
They're basically open for lunch and dinner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
But go by and get you some of the great food there at Prine's.
All right.
Their sides, like I said, they don't have a lot of sides. They don't really have a large variety. But what they do really well.
Right. Well, and I was going to say, you might get your order in for ham, or do they still do the turkey.
I think they do. I think they do some holiday.
Yeah, so just get your order in now for next year. But no, you've got to get your order in early with them because they do a ton of those for the holidays. So
turkeys and hams, absolutely.
All right, so they
Brian's barbecue.
Oh, look at that. There's the ham.
Yeah,
but that's from 2017. I bet it looks just as good still. So you can tell they're not big social media.
That ham probably doesn't look.
No, we don't want that ham. But anyway,
like I think they've been there since the 20s. I believe they've been there almost a century. Yeah, I think they've been there since the late 20s.
They have any?
I don't think it says on
but
there.
But they do have. Oh, they've got a 94%. I mean, that's really good for restaurant. They're not even asking for reviews. These are people going out of their way.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they're
they're a little old school still.
Pretty much. Brian's Barbecue. Check them out.
All right, so
with the local happenings, the original Wichita Falls Gun Show that has been now moved to Burke.
Yes.
Preacher Mike Rucker and his wife run that thing now. For years, Joe Tom White ran it, and Mike helped him out.
Yep.
And now Mike and his wife own the original Wichita Falls Gun Show, and it has now been moved to the Burkburnett Community Center. Yep. It's going to be January the 17th and the 18th, which is a Saturday, Sunday.
Right. And then they've already got on the schedule, looks like a few
They've got other dates on the schedule, too. I just put them on there so I don't forget about them.
Yeah, well, July and December, so, look forward to even that. But go to this one.
Yeah, this is the first one of the year, and so there'll be a lot of new stuff there. And it seems like there's that first gun show after the year, there's a lot of the retailers, a lot of the vendors that come in, and they have stuff that they didn't sell necessarily in December or whatnot. So they get some really good pricing on a lot of their stuff. Because, it's like, okay, well, it's like most retail is relatively slow in January anyhow. Right. And so it's a good time for those vendors to try to unload some of their excess merchandise that they kept at the beginning of the year. Right. Good time to move on and to reinvest that into new merchandise.
Okay, well, that looks good.
And then on the 31st of January, the University Kiwanis Club Pancake Festival is going to happen. This is a Wichita Falls tradition. And I believe this is the 70th year. It's what it says.
That's what it says, yeah.
70th year at the Pancake Festival. This is an event. You go in, and it's first off, it's all you can eat pancakes, and all you can eat sausage, and all you can drink milk and all that. Now, I don't know how many people can eat a lot of pancakes. I can't eat a ton of pancakes. They fill me up.
They're rich, yeah.
But they'll do Mickey Mouse pancakes for you. They do all kinds of stuff like that. They do a big pancake with 2 ears.
Oh, okay, with little ears. Little pancakes for the ears. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Mickey Mouse. But they've been around for, like I said, 70 years. Kiwanis Club does a lot of great things in the community, and all of this money goes towards the scholarships and the community outreach that they handle and things like that. But if you just go, it's one of those things that you'll see people you never see, but maybe one time a year at this.
Well, that's kind of like we talked about this last time. Just it's a community kind of fellowship.
Yeah, and the tables are just set up. Yeah, just long tables.
Yeah, and you just meet somebody you've never met before.
Yeah, probably. It's like exactly. So go check them out, and then so that's the Pancake Festival, and it's going to be at the J.S. Bridle Center.
All right. Well then. Yeah, they've got, let's see, what else? Oh, it says it's 12 hours long.
It is. It's 6 to 6, I believe, isn't it? Or 7 to 7?
6 to 6.
6 to 6.
6 a.m., get there early. So, and then mark down that you're going or not, give them a heads up. So, all right. So what we got up next? So
our next thing is the Texas A&M Forest Service is warning unseasonably warm weather and dry conditions combined with freeze-cured grasses can spark more wildfires right now. It's not just during the holidays. It's even going on now. We need some moisture.
Nothing like the big drought, but we get dry at times, and that's
well. It's not just that. The problem we've had is the grass grew so well, or the vegetation grew so well in the spring because we had such a wet spring. So you have vegetation that grew up 3 foot, 4 foot. Well, all that's on the ground now.
Yeah.
If it wasn't mowed, it's laying there, and it's just
kindling.
It's all it is. It's fuel to somebody who's a fireman or something like that. That's all. When they look out there, that's what they see is they see fuel out there, dry, dead stuff. The wind's been blowing, And just because it's cold outside, it doesn't mean it's not a fire danger because there's been no moisture.
So none of this spontaneously combusts, does it?
No.
Okay, so it's somebody driving by. Yeah, somebody's driving by with chains.
Dragging on their trailer.
Or they've got some sort of, maybe a backfire. Maybe they're,
well, a lot of times it's people welding or doing things out in the country.
Right.
So
they need to
there are burn bans right now, at least in Clay County. I think there's a burn ban in Wichita County. But just be careful. That's the whole thing. Just be real careful when you're out there, because just understand that everything around you is dry and there's a lot of it.
It's not something.
It's unusual, an unusual amount of it right now.
Right. Well,
no moisture.
Well, just what you can do if you don't live out in the country or anything, that's fine. But just, double check those chains and the things, if there's something hanging on your pickup or whatever. So, all right.
Don't throw your cigarette out.
Well, that's a big one.
I don't know that if a cigarette, it would have to be a really good, and I'm not a cigarette person, but it would have to be the right circumstances for that to happen.
Yeah, but still.
But it could happen, because you could throw a cigarette out and gas it and it'll put it out.
Right. Well,
that's always been one of the big things in the shops back. I've been around in the shops long enough. When people smoke cigarettes, mechanics would sit there working on something, they'd have a cigarette hanging out of their mouth.
Yeah.
That was just normal. But the new guy would come in, and the two things that the mechanics would do, first off, you'd charge up a condenser, which is like a capacitor, and you throw it over it, and it would discharge, and it would shock the shit out of you. So that was one of the things you did with a new guy. And the other thing is wait till the new guy's walking by the barrel of gas and throw a cigarette into it and let him watch him freak out. And it's going to put it out.
No, I know, but still, yeah.
Well, Christmas, I just wanted to mention this. This is Wichita Falls lost a really prominent educator, but also their family, a big family in Clay County, Body. Now, if you've ever driven towards Henrietta, between Wichita Falls and Henrietta, there's a road that says Body Road, Boddy Road. The Body family was a ranching family here in Wichita Falls for many, many years. And Brad Body was a rancher, a part of that. But as an adult, later in life, he became a teacher and fell into being a special ed teacher and turned out to be a phenomenal teacher. Here's this guy who was a rancher and raced motocross and all this other stuff. But it turns out he was a phenomenal special ed teacher. And he was tragically killed in an accident where he was walking across the street at Southwest Parkway Christmas Day and was struck by a vehicle and killed him.
Well, that Body family, I think so one of our customers, Stuart McClintock, married, his wife was Annie, I believe, and I think she was a Body.
Might be, yeah.
Body I believe. Don't.
It was a big family in this,
yeah,
in this area.
They live out,
Clay County,
just outside of
Henrietta.
Henrietta.
Big family out there. Brad used to have a massive. If you remember back in the 80s, when you would drive out there was a massive motocross track right there on the highway, right before you got to the Henrietta turnoff, and that's the Body Ranch. Part of that was the Body Ranch, and that was Brad's place right there.
Okay, well, cool. Well,
so,
that's
not
cool, but I mean,
tragic that it happened.
Done.
Yeah, his students are going to sincerely miss him. And he had taught at Hershey. He had taught in City View, and was currently teaching at Memorial High School here in town. Speaking of Memorial High School,
yes, and
the combined bands, Memorial and Legacy High School, were in London at the New Year's Day parade, and they performed there. I watched it. I turned it on and just had it on the TV with I was playing with my grandkids and stuff like that. But when it came on, we stopped and watched it, and they did a phenomenal job. This band, and I communicated with Loy Studer and Cheryl Cunningham, the people that were kind of running this. Loy Studer is the band director for Legacy High School, but the people that were working on getting this together, and I was communicating how things going over there. Hope the kids are doing okay, and they communicated back that they were doing great. But they did a phenomenal job. They looked really sharp. Their uniforms they had a really neat Texas themed uniform, and they went out there and so. When they march in that parade, they march through, and then they stop and they turn at a certain place and they play, and then they go on and go down the parade. And they did a phenomenal job. They sounded good. They did a Texas medley, deep in the heart of Texas, Yellow Rose of Texas. So it was really, really, they looked good. They sounded good. And apparently they had a really great trip. So thank you to everybody who participated in helping them go.
Yes. All right.
This was a community effort in Wichita Falls to get these kids there. And it came down to the wire on raising the money. Okay. It's a lot of money. I mean, they had to raise like $1.4 million to get everybody going.
I mean, that sounds crazy, but then when you divide that up with all the staff, and I mean, you got the parents going,
right.
Yeah, because they're chaperones.
That they had to raise all of it. Some people just wrote a check.
Right. Oh yeah. Some people did, but
that's how I think that's what the bill was, about $1.4 million.
Okay. Well, one other thing that's kind of cool that's recently happened there is the Backdoor Theater has received approval from the Landmark Commission for a $200,000 renovation project aimed at enhancing signage and lighting. A lot of people don't even realize it, but it was an ice house.
Yes.
The renovations come nearly 5 years after the theater's interior was rebuilt. Because of the flooding.
Yeah.
And that wasn't winter flooding. That was actual flooding from the river.
No, that was a pipe.
No. It was a pipe. Okay, something bust. Okay, that was all right. But that was from the freeze. Right, was that from the freeze?
I don't remember if it was a freeze pipe but it was a broken pipe.
Right,
it was flooding inside.
Because
it wasn't the river didn't get up.
Right, okay. That would get a lot of other people in that area.
No, it was the river's a good ways away. I mean, I guess it is possible, but it would be you might see Noah floating by.
So they are awarding that Landmark Commission. This is something wasn't just that it was approved as a project, but they are getting this 200. They're getting money.
They're raising the money, or they have raised money. They had to get the approval from the Landmark
Commission. But to become a historical site, is that?
No, because they're a historical site.
I don't know how that process works.
They already are a historical site. So when you are a historical site,
if you're going to make any changes,
you have to get approval from the Landmark.
Oh,
Commission.
wow. So and that actually has turned out for some people being a negative thing.
Exactly.
Because they want to make a change to their house, and then somehow their house was designated maybe prior to them. Because, I mean, you have to ask, you have to get it.
Exactly.
Somebody just can't come. Can somebody look at your house and you
no, it's your house.
Make it right and make it.
Ask for it.
Okay, well, but once it is, then you have to get permission.
Exactly.
Ugh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those deals. I mean, I would never want to make my house or my business a historical site because you kind of hamstring yourself a little bit.
Surely there'd be some benefit to it.
There might be.
There has to be.
There might be.
Surely.
Or perceived benefit. See, that's the thing. Some people think, this will be a great benefit.
Well, right. Some of it's a perception thing.
It's a perception thing, but in the end, is it maybe it is and maybe it's not. It just depends on the individual and their business and whatever it is.
Gotcha.
But you don't ever really want somebody else in charge of what you can and can't do with your house and your business.
That there's some risk. Yes, absolutely some risk there. Okay. So
2025, a year in reflection.
Right. I don't know how that got. Yeah, so we're going to read off the notes here. So
right.
All right.
So I kind of put these somewhat in order. I'm not going to say don't fact check the fact that it says January, maybe it happened February 1st or whatever like that, but
don't
it happened about this time. And of course, the big news in January was Trump was inaugurated for a second term president of the United States on January 20th. The formation of the government efficiency, the DOGE department, headed up by Elon Musk, was formed, withdrawing the U.S. from the world. Trump withdrew the U.S. from the World Health Organization and the Paris Accords. And then also, Jimmy Carter had his funeral. He died in December, but his funeral was actually in January. So he was our newest president to become a dead president, basically.
Well, and as far as he goes, I think on all sides has said he's probably one of the most ethical presidents ever.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
probably he's been considered one of the worst presidents.
But
as far as policies and stuff go, but yes, as far as ethics go, yeah. I think that's the case. Also, the Pacific Palisades fire.
Oh gosh,
that was in January, and burned up so much of California in the Pacific Palisades. And I know that there were people that were going out as a bunch of rich Hollywood people. There were some rich Hollywood people that lost their houses. There was a lot of people who have lived out there for many, many, many years that bought those houses when they were reasonable price, and they lost everything.
I mean, it's California's either flooding, burning, or there's an earthquake. I mean,
well, it's kind of like what we talked about. You're in I think the San Fernando Valley is where that is. And you have high winds. The Santa Ana winds come through there. And California has notoriously been really bad about not managing their deforestation process. So you have a lot of winds right there. You have a lot of fuel on the ground, and then didn't have water in the reservoir to put the fires out.
Yeah, well, that's tough.
And then also, I believe this was either the end of January, the very beginning of February, a midair collision over the Potomac River killed 67 people when a Black Hawk helicopter hit a passenger airplane.
Yeah, that sounds like that was probably on the Army side.
Might have been. Yeah.
I think they'll probably have more reports coming out, on that. All right. Well, then, what else?
February.
Massive North American storm complex caused severe flooding in the eastern U.S., resulting in 9 deaths.
And a lot of people being stranded. This is
that was we say east, but it was what
southeast,
southeast.
Yeah,
it'd be what south north.
It was
North
Kentucky
Carolina?
and South North Carolina, Kentucky, and those where there were whole roads that were literally washed out, and there was no way to get to people other than by airlift.
Right, but there wasn't. Yeah, that was the. They thought it was going to be. In fact, that was what they thought was going to be a hurricane, but it was a little bit. But then by the time it didn't hit as hard as it could have, but then it moved on and ended up doing more damage inland.
Yes.
And
that hurricane system didn't stall out right there on the coast. It moved inland, and then it stalled out there and dumped so much water.
Well, I went to Tampa then. That was last year when I went. It was actually Tampa St. Pete, but they were wondering if we were going to have our computer conference there back in that time frame, just after all this happened. So, but yeah, okay. Southwest Airlines announced its first mass layoff in over 50 years. Yeah, they've always been a pretty good lean and mean airline and made money when a lot of other airlines were not making money. Mm-hmm. And Trump signed executive orders imposing 25% tariff. Yeah, he's hitting it hard right after he, not even a month probably. And
as people have seen, this is all negotiation. And I said that when this happened, when people their hair was on fire and nobody's going to be able to afford anything and this, that, and the other. It's like, no, he's negotiating. He's negotiating on behalf of the American public.
Right. So, yeah. And I, we're all learning and he's given Apple, even though Apple initially he was just doing a mass, all electronics, all this. And then, but he's negotiated people coming to the table, and it's his method. It's in his case, things have not been as there's been some challenges, certainly, no doubt, and all that, because, anytime you're increasing, some of it happened, some of it got implemented, but it's certainly not the doomsday that everybody wanted to make it out to be.
What people need to look at, and what they need to realize is, he's shown this, Trump will talk to anybody. On either side of the aisle.
North Korea,
you're right. North Korea and Russia.
Yeah.
And it's all about a negotiation. What can we do to make things
part
better?
Of the deal? Although, you can disagree with, you have the right to do whatever you want, and as long as you're not hurting somebody else. But just keep in mind that it's his style. That's what a lot of this is. And yes, it's a lot of hot air in many cases. He talks a lot about stuff, and he's I wouldn't call him eloquent, but he is certainly he talks a lot. Like I said, a lot more than he probably should, but hey, that's his style. And
he's gotten a lot of things done.
Oh yeah.
Through this negotiation process.
Yeah. Get people to talk to him, and then we can talk. Yeah. If you can get him to the table, then that's the main thing.
Honestly, the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22 in the Super Bowl.
When did the Super Bowl used to be?
It's always in February.
Has it always been in February?
That I remember, yeah.
Okay. I just feel like it was put off years. But okay. So in March, 2025. What else? We have the U.S. commercial spacecraft Firefly's Blue Ghost. Now, Firefly.
I don't know who it is. Who's ahead of that one?
Landed on the moon. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so we had something, a spacecraft of some sort that finally get on the moon. Another device, an item that we haven't seen for years. Nobody. I mean, because what was the last time we were on the moon with something?
The late 60s or early 70s. It'd be maybe the early 70s, maybe 70 or 71.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and here's what I don't understand. You have this fascination with people talking about Mars and going to Mars. If you want to live off the planet, why the hell wouldn't you just go to the moon? It's a lot faster. It's a lot quicker to get there. There's no resources on the Mars. Mars is just as inhospitable as the moon is.
Wow.
It's not like you can't breathe the air there. You can't drink any water there. So I don't really understand the fascination. First off, I don't understand the fascination of getting off the Earth.
Well,
as far as leaving the Earth and going somewhere to populate. But if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you just do it on the moon rather than to Mars?
You can't. Well, okay, so Mars is, isn't it the idea that they are the closest to our atmosphere? In theory, we could, we could inhabit it over time. I don't know. I agree with you. I don't get the total thing, but I can imagine somebody being so into it. But then it makes you wonder about their mental health. But
why not just go to the moon then? If you feel like you have to inhabit another place.
Well, yeah, right. Because
nothing grows on the moon, but nothing grows in Mars either.
Well, right.
Unless what's his name is there, and he the Martian. He grows potatoes.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand what you're saying. It's just like, hey, why would you do that? But they're going to use. I mean, they could use the moon as at least a stepping stone to as far as testing and all that. Because you're right. We're not getting out of. Although it is the gravity's 1/6 of the Earth, if I remember correctly.
Right. That should be that would be where you have your launching. You get everything up there, and if you want to launch some deep space stuff that has to be bigger and stuff like that, launch it from the moon.
Yeah, well.
Because the gravity's a lot less.
Right.
I mean, that's one of those deals that people have to understand. Everything has physics applies to everything.
Yeah.
And gravity applies to everything. So
unless you're a flat earther,
and
they have different physics.
But the cost of going into outer space, every ounce has a dollar cost to it. And to me, if you're on a place like the moon that's 1/6 of the gravity, that would make your ounces stretch at least maybe not 1/6, but more than they do here.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, yeah. So,
and also February or March brought us the Signal app scandal. This was where Pete Hegseth, who's a Secretary of Defense, shared war plans for Yemen to a group on chat on Signal.
Right.
Dumb.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about Signal, I don't know that much about Signal, but apparently it is encrypted. But there
was a reporter that had it.
Well, because he was on the list.
Right.
That was the problem. It wasn't necessarily that it's not the Signal app itself. Now, whether that's officially approved or not, that's a whole different thing. But it was the fact that a reporter was on the list, and that's where the inadvertency. There was a group, I guess, and he didn't realize who all was in it. But that doesn't excuse it, because I can guarantee you that if I had done this, same thing when I was in the military, I'd been going down.
Court-martialed at some point?
Or very potentially it would have been the court-martial, but
you'd have been busted back to private.
Yeah. So you could, but at a minimum, it would have been probably an Article 15. And that's, major. I mean, that, again, Article 15 can put you out of the military. It doesn't have to go all the way to court-martial. Article 15, just for those who are not military, is the commander's non-judicial punishment. That's at every level. Whatever commander level you are at, you can get an Article 15. And that's to keep you. It's an option that commanders have. They don't have to offer it. But it essentially is that the it's not even really a trial necessarily, but it's the evidence is such that and the situation is such that it gives the opportunity for the military member, to potentially stay in, but not end up with a federal conviction.
Okay.
Everything's a felony. Telling your commander to, go. It is a felony. If they told you to go, if you're late to work one day, technically that's a felony.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, if you are,
I'm not doubting you. I'm just surprised.
Anything that you do that is against regulation could, in theory, but nobody's going to. Nobody, just being late once is not going to get you. Now, if you were late and it was a very, very big mission and you showed up late, now you're talking court-martial material. But the fact, so it depends on the circumstances. But in any case, the point is that I know, that's my biggest problem with this, is that anything like that would have happened to an individual member. And of course, he's not military, but there's an equivalent, certainly in that world. And there's they have some, I guess the president, I don't know who would prosecute the Secretary of Defense, but anyway, so that's, it
was a bad deal no matter what it is.
Exactly. And I think it happened in something else. It was something similar happened not too long after that. I thought there was something else that happened.
I don't know. I just know about that one.
Okay. All right. What else? We got April. Designated April 2nd is designated Liberation Day. Trump announced expansive new tariffs, including a 10% blanket tax on all imports and 34% tariff on Chinese goods.
That's right. Yeah. So this, he started talking about it in January and in April, but by the time April rolled around, it was going to be 85% tariffs. Now it's down to 10%. If you just notice and he goes in and during this time, they brought the UK, Germany, all of our allies in to kind of come in. Here's the thing with tariffs. I believe in reciprocity. If you're going to tariff us, we're going to tariff you. If you're not going to tariff us, we won't tariff you.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what they're trying to get to more of an even, because we have these massive import discrepancies with other countries where we bring a lot of their stuff in and pay all their tariffs and pay all that, and they don't take any of our stuff.
Right. Well,
it's just not a way to do business.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that there's been a significant, at least the things that I pay attention to, because I look at Amazon and shop on there and look at different pricing and all that. I don't know that it's affected a lot of stuff, because I'm paying attention more on the technology side.
I haven't seen any major increases.
Right. Now, no doubt some have. I don't.
There have been some increases on some things, but a lot of that was energy costs. It had nothing to do with the tariff.
Okay. Well, all right.
And also in April, Pope Francis died on April 21st at the age of 88. And a federal judge ordered administration to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who had been deported to a high-security prison in El Salvador. This is the one where the media tried to play he was a Maryland man, just a Maryland dad. Turns out he had domestic violence conviction and human trafficking and stuff like that. And then you have that dipshit congressman that went there and sat down with him and interviewed him and all that, because he was one of the Maryland Congress people. But it turns out this guy is a bad guy. And by the way, he was here illegally.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand why deportation was a problem. And now they're still deporting him. Right. They're just trying to find a country to take him, because he's still eligible to deport. If you're here illegally, you're eligible for deportation.
Yeah.
Period. That's part of it. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who's here illegally should be immediately deported. I don't believe that. There needs to be some reasonable.
Right. Well, and therein lies, I think, one of the issues, the questions, the controversies as to, it feels like that one side thinks that there should be absolutely the same protections and the same due process that U.S. citizens get, and then there's the other side of it that they think that we believe that there should be no due process. Well, no, there needs the due process is not, again, so many things in politics is black or white, and it's not.
You don't owe people due process if they're here illegally.
No, but I think
You owe them human rights. You can't just walk up and shoot them in the head.
Well, no.
But you don't know that you don't owe them due process.
Well, but due process is not one thing. That's my point. Is it due process? Okay, in other words, there needs to be. And again, where is that level though? There's a process that we treat people a certain way. We, like, to your point, is we're not going to abuse anybody. We shouldn't be.
No.
But at the same time, to me, it's just inherently obvious that if you're here illegally, you do not have the same. Again, we have to argue of the degree of what process there is. Take out the word due. There's a process that involves keeping that people. For instance, there's a process that if you're injured and you're illegal, we know that. We've talked about that. You've emphasized this over and over. If you get hurt, you need medical care. We're going to take care of you.
You're going to
you're going to get medical attention.
You're going to get stabilizing medical
attention.
Right.
And in fact, you probably, let's say that you have surely if you have I don't know, you're in, we've caught you. We put you in jail to hold you until such time that we get you processed out. That something happens, you get sick, we're going to feed you. We're going to do all to keep you. I don't know how warm or cold these jail holding facilities are.
They're much better than walking across the wilderness.
Right. So anyway, my point is if you got if you had the flu, we're going to treat you. In part, probably because we don't want everybody else to get, have a big pandemic happening within the jail. But the bottom line is you're going to be taken care of minimally, admittedly. We're
going to get a set of boobs.
No,
but exactly. if you have a medical issue, it will be.
Yeah. And so anyway, again, it's just a matter of degree. I think that's where the discussion should be. Instead of just throwing out you don't want to, you're all the way this way. You're always and never and all of that kind of crap.
Got to meet in the middle.
You got to meet somewhere in the middle and find
I will reveal my plan. I remember I talked about my plan about 6 months ago. I have a whole plan on this immigration thing, and we'll bring it. We'll bring it up again. We'll talk about it again. But here's what people don't understand: when you're here illegally, you don't have a right to due process to be taken out of the country. Now, you have a right to due process whether you're going to be allowed back into the country. See, that's the thing. But the problem is, you are supposed to go to the country that's next to. You're supposed to go to the embassy. The U.S. Embassy of the country that you're closest to, the next country before America.
Okay.
And apply for asylum and that sort of thing there.
Not just show up.
You don't just show up and walk over.
Yeah,
and that's been the problem.
Right.
So yes, in my opinion, people are here illegally. Now, I think there needs to be a time. We'll talk about it because it'll get too deep. There needs to be a time limit. But if you've shown up illegally in the last, say, 4 years, 5 years, then you need to go be deported immediately. And then if you want to apply to come back, and that's what the administration is trying to do. They're saying if you'll deport yourself, then you could have a path to come back.
Wasn't there even, didn't they offer an allowance?
They're offering a certain amount of money.
Right. But I understand. I mean, I think we can all understand the whole family thing. You've been here for 25 years and all that. But
or you were brought here.
Right.
The dreamers. You were brought here as a child.
Yeah.
You should
through no fault of your own.
If you've been here for a certain period of time, and I had to go back and look at my notes, 10 years or whatever it is. If you've been here for a certain period of time, you've been here illegally, but you've paid your taxes, you've not taken government money, you've worked, and you've not had a criminal record, then I have no problem with you staying here for now while we process you to becoming legal. But you got to get legal. Yeah. That's the whole thing.
Make your efforts to do it. I mean, we've even had right, and that brings up one of the ones that we talked about was a gentleman who had been brought here legally by his mom.
Mm-hmm.
He entered the military service. He ended up going to either Afghanistan or he was in some sort of conflict, and he was injured at a minimum. He may have had some other things, but he had some mental health issues after his injuries, and he got out. And then through all of that, he had the opportunity while he was active duty, in theory, had an opportunity to become a U.S. citizen. I mean, that is part of the deal that they want you to, they encourage you, and that is a fast track to getting citizenship.
To me, it should be required. If you're going to join the military and the taxpayer is going to pay you,
right?
Let's be fair. You're not doing this shit for free.
No.
Now, I'm not downplaying what military people do.
No.
It is a service,
right?
But you are not doing it for free.
You're and that's the other thing. You're not guaranteed service, military service. You're not guaranteed to get in. Although, for the most part, if you otherwise qualify, the military take you, right? I mean, there's anyway,
we're going to get too not even to May yet,
right? But anyway, let me finish up. That guy though had issues. He ended up breaking the law, but because he never even applied and became a citizen, he was told to leave, so he had to go back to South Korea, I think, or something.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you break the law. That happens.
Yeah.
Okay, May. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost was elected Pope, and taking the name Pope Leo the 14th.
I was going to have to do the numbers. The
XIV.
Yes.
He's the first pope from the United States from the Chicagoland area. The Chicagoland area.
Chicago.
So I wonder if they have deep dish pizza at the Vatican right now.
Well, maybe, All right. Well, and let's see. FDA approved first in-home cervical cancer test.
I think that's a real positive thing. That's an issue that affects a lot of women.
Right.
And so if you can get an early test, and it's at home and it's easier to check it,
well,
I don't know how invasive it is, but if you're doing it yourself, surely it can't be too invasive.
Well, and I think there's been, I've been in the last, 10 or 15 years, we've been hearing, I think, more and more about women's health in terms of how these studies and things have been done over the years that oftentimes they assumed they were the same with men and women, but women have their own unique health issues.
Wait a minute. Are you saying men and women are different?
Well, God,
Terry, oh my goodness.
I know.
Yeah, you're going to be in trouble.
So anyway, but this should bring to the top of I think that needs to be done. I think there needs to be more of those focus things. Just don't assume that heart disease is the same, affects men and women the same. They don't. They're
different. We're different beings.
But how? Yeah. But it's a real issue that women and sexual what's the blue pill, whatever it is, Viagra was approved for men very quickly, but apparently there's some issues with women getting the equivalent kind of drugs and health care and things that men have always easily gotten. So I think there's something to be said about that. So that's good that we're making it easier for stuff like that for everybody. But I think that, and I'm not saying that we should, equity and all that, but just do it. It just needs to be done.
I mean, if you have something that you can do and it's relatively cost effective, let's do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, the India-Pakistan conflict actually escalated to brief military action early in the month, and both nations were conducting airstrikes on each other, and a full ceasefire was mediated by the U.S. on May 12th. And by the way, these are two nuclear powers. When you have two nuclear powers that are going to war with each other.
All right. Well, how often have we really heard India ever getting much into conflict? You tend to see India seems to be, it comes across, at least the connotation that I have is that they are fairly peaceful.
I think as a whole, I think they tend to be. But Pakistan is not necessarily.
No.
Because Pakistan, that's where a lot of terrorists, they would go from Afghanistan to Pakistan.
Pakistan.
That's right.
That.
Yeah. They would go to Pakistan and set up there. So yes. Okay. Pakistan has been known to harbor terrorists at times. But my point is, you have two countries that both have nuclear warheads and they're having a pissing contest. You sure just want to make sure that cooler heads prevail.
Okay, so we got, June. Protests reached a peak on June 14th with the No Kings rallies. Okay, drawing over 5 million participants worldwide.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Which
Yeah, that was.
Which, by the way, yeah, I mean, 5 million people's a lot, but when it's worldwide, that's a pretty.
Well, that's true, but
here's the thing about the No King.
Had it here in Wichita Falls.
This is what I think is funny about the No King rally. If there was a king that was, you wouldn't be able to have the No Kings rally.
Right, they'd be
You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, I know.
If there was a somebody who was there was not a no Hitler rally in Germany that wasn't put down. That's what I'm saying. In places that you do have kings and you do have people that are despots, you don't have rallies against them. He's a de facto
king. He's acting like a king, and so therefore, now I think what he's doing. I think this is just a point that just because. Now I think it's kind of what he's been doing in a sense with all the other stuff with the tariffs and all that. He's getting people to the table. I think that issues that he's brought up, that he's pressed to test, he has brought up issues, did things that he almost that need to be determined, that need to be decided. Some of these things, now again, his opponents will argue that some cases it's already been decided. Well, maybe not on the nuance that he's pushing. And so getting it to court, because until somebody takes it to court, it will never be decided.
Yeah.
It's just conjecture. It's just the opinion of that person or that leader or whatever. There's something, and sometimes it needs to be, I think, pressure tested, if you will. It needs to be, there's some issues that need to be, it's like although the abortion thing, that was a big deal for a lot of people. And although that wasn't under his realm, but it's just an interesting, although they, give him credit for it because
have you heard about the abortion thing lately?
No.
It's completely died off the zeitgeist.
It is, but it's still clearly some people are going to bringing it up.
Some people bringing up.
No, I know, but
it's not a major thing.
Right. So anyway, the point is, I think a lot of it is that he's pressure tested a lot of stuff, and I think that's
By the way, the Florida Panthers won their second consecutive Stanley Cup, which is funny because 30 years ago, 40 or 50 years ago, for sure.
Stanley Cup.
Yeah. 50 years ago, when you, if you said Florida and in hockey, they didn't go together.
No.
But these hockey has changed. It was always everybody in Canada and like New York and a few places up there. And also the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
It's a fairly new team, right?
Yeah.
How long have they been?
They've been there probably a decade or so.
Okay.
I believe they were.
Was that a new?
Seattle Supersonics.
Okay, that's
who they were.
Now, what about the Florida Panthers? With Florida Panthers?
The hockey team. Hockey. They were another team at some point.
Wasn't there a Panthers?
There is a Panthers football team, but it's not the Florida Panthers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't
Carolina Panthers.
Oh, it's never in Florida.
No.
Oh, okay. I don't pay attention.
They were an expansion team in Carolina.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So, but anyway, that's cool that these fairly new teams, but that's okay. I mean, like Dallas, Cowboys anyway, reigned for quite a while, but they're not clearly nothing now.
Nope. And then also Israel launched major strikes on Iranian nuclear and military sites. This was kind of getting things softened up there.
All right. July, catastrophic flash flood event on July 4th. Yes, that was here in Texas, just down the road from us, man. That was a big. Well, it was
a little far down, but about 6 hours.
Well, for Texas.
Yeah, for Israel, for 6, yeah.
Yeah, but that Camp Mystic, I mean, I don't know. There were a lot of things involved with that, and it's unfortunate that things happen that way, and over time. And I'm not saying people maybe they haven't determined for sure what all
enough early warning, or
right?
People moved out. Here's the thing: I've camped down there, camped in the RV in Kerrville, and there was actually a campsite that my wife and I used to like to use, and it was one of those that was underwater because it was right down on the river. We'd always get a campsite right on the river, and so it was amazing how fast it came.
Oh yeah!
There.
Oh, I know.
A friend of mine had just gotten finished with a 5-acre lake on his place. Literally just gotten finished with it, and it filled that lake up in one day. 1.7 million gallons of water or something like that. Crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's flash floods are a big deal. And that's, but and that's all we can do now is move forward. And I mean, and they were criticizing them for reopening so soon.
There's always people that are critical.
I know, and I think that's actually some method of a healing, but clearly is traumatic for some families.
Absolutely,
and I understand
that.
So.
By the way, even last month there were still officials with the Texas Rangers and the DPS that were out there looking for. There's one missing kid left. So,
all right, President Trump. Let's see here. Trump's one big beautiful bill.
That reconciliation package.
Right.
By the way, people have talked about this. You'll start seeing that this year. I believe the impact of it is what you're going to see this year because people are going to pay less in taxes. They're going to get more of their money back that they already paid in last year. They're talking about going to have record refunds on taxes because not that people intentionally are wanting to have a refund, but they've overpaid because their taxes are going to go down. So we'll see how that works out. But I believe I think it should help the American economy. You let people keep more of their money. It's funny that people say you give them their money. No, you're not giving. You're letting them keep more of their money because they already earned it. The government's not giving you
right.
money.
That's
all they're doing is giving you your money back.
Right, and
that they cook
exactly. So that's the whole. If you're ever, and I'm sure you were very cognizant of that as you were on the school board and had as a body as your group, the school board that you were on that body of you had the authority to tax, and you were always cognizant of using taxpayers' money. That is the taxpayers' money.
It's not your money. It is
not the government's money. It came from again, whether I think it's a matter of degree. Most reasonable people recognize that these shared services have to be done.
So somebody's got to pay
right.
for them. Yeah.
And so
you pay them through taxes. But I will say, and I was very proud of this, we lowered taxes while I was on the school board a couple of times.
Not just a rate.
Lower taxes, yeah,
right. Actual dollar lower. Okay, yeah. not a.
I can't help what the I don't know what the evaluation was.
No. I know
the tax rate. We lowered the tax rate.
The rate.
Yes.
Okay.
The tax rate, which does lower your dollar valuation if you pay the same if you're
right.
If your house is, but they're two different things.
Oh, I know, and that's the thing. We need to be educated.
Only has control over what the tax rate is going to be.
Right.
Which would lower. Okay, say your house was $100,000 this year, and your house is $100,000 next year, and they lower your tax rate.
Right.
You're going to pay less in taxes.
Right. Than you would have.
Than you did.
No, well, wait. Hold on.
You did.
Okay. If your house is $100,000, but that's the thing. We generally don't. Your house doesn't generally stay.
It does
the
sometimes
same.
though.
Sometimes it does.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right.
People get caught up into this. Like there's some collusion involved in that.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's collusion. I'm just saying that politicians, and I'm not including you in that. What I'm saying is that politicians will make hey, I lowered your tax rate. And in some cases, you go and look, and the lower tax rate didn't necessarily lower the actual out-of-pocket tax.
That's because your home valuation went
right. Well, but that's my point.
But your politician has no control over that.
I understand.
And well, yeah, but you can't sit there and say all you can do is say we lowered the tax rate. I can't say, and Terry, your house is going to be this, and your house that's up to the individual.
But in general, though, what you're saying is not only did we lower the tax rate, but in your situation when you've done it, you should have seen a lower
business. I can tell you from our business, there were times that our business was flat. Our property my business was flat.
Right.
And it actually lowered it.
Right.
Lowered the dollar amount.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It has the potential to lower the dollar amount.
Right. Absolutely.
But
okay.
But what happens is, and that's part of being responsible for public money, is you realize, okay, you have X amount of dollars that you have to operate, and then you have X amount of dollars you have to put basically in what's called the general fund, your savings account.
Yes. In
case shit hits a fan, you got to be able to make your payroll and that sort of thing. But once you get a certain amount in your general fund, your savings account, and once you have got all you got your budget and you have all this, and there's extra money left over, you give that you lower the tax rate so the taxpayer gets that money back.
Right, absolutely. And again, I'm not taking anything away from what you're saying. I just want to, but oftentimes the things that are promoted, oh, we lowered your tax rate. Well, didn't necessarily mean it was a lower actual out of pocket.
I understand that, but you got to be, you got to be smart enough and understand the fact that they can't tell you, I'm going to lower your tax and your tax.
No, I understand that. Right.
So,
okay.
Also, pro wrestling legend Hulk Hogan died at the age of 71, and former Vice President Dick Cheney died at 84. So 2 prominent figures. And anyhow.
Then in August, economic concerns grew as signs of a slowdown spurred debates over potential Federal Reserve rate cut to stabilize the market. And so I guess that was a thing. New congressional maps passed in Texas. That was a big deal.
And we talked about that here.
Drawing lawsuits and protests over potential racial bias. And where is that? That's not been undone or anything yet.
No. I think it went to so there was a lower court that said reverse it, and then got kicked up to the Supreme Court. And I think that they've put a stay on it for now. And the argument has been, you already have people that have filed to run for election. You can't change it back to the way it was in the middle of an election cycle. Right. I don't think it's going to change. I think it'll be like it is. Okay. Also, in August, President Trump met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, and that has not turned out. I think when you see Trump talking about this, I think this is one that's really sticking in his craw, that he really thought he could get Putin to give up on this war, and it's not happening at this point. So we'll see what happens. But the problem is, people always say, well, we got to be careful. Russia is a nuclear power, and they got a lot of nuclear weapons. Right. You can't just go to war with Russia. No. It wouldn't be good for us to go to war with them. So supporting Ukraine in their efforts and trying to make diplomatic efforts as well, but supporting them in their war efforts, which what we're doing, we're selling them, which, by the way, we should not be giving. We should have never given them anything. Yeah. We should have been selling them stuff. This giving away bullshit. Once again, you're giving away public money. Right. You don't have a right to do that. You sell them arms. And by the way, and Ukraine has a lot of oil. They have a lot of natural resources. I'm not saying they have to pay us cash today, but we can put it on an IOU. So when all this shit gets figured out, we can go over there and take some oil.
Well, wasn't that some of the deal he made with what's his name? The president Zelensky with some of the natural resources.
But before it was with Trump. Before with Joe Biden, we were
right. Oh yeah. Okay. So
anyhow, and then also U.S. tariffs on more than 90 countries went into effect on August 7th, including a 50% tariff on Indian imports due to purchase of Russian oil. That's basically what and I agree with. I don't agree with Trump on everything, and I don't agree on Trump, but there are some things I agree with him on. In the oil, India buying oil from Russia, and Germany was buying oil from Russia. It's like all you're doing is feeding the Russian economy to keep this war going. You're part of the problem. De facto, you're helping them wage war, because if they had no oil sales, they wouldn't have the money and the resources to wage war against Ukraine.
So, all right. So then in, what are we up to, September now? Okay. Charlie Kirk. That was, wow. That was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. I did not realize, wow. And it has created another divide, unfortunately. And yet, I mean, this is, wow. I don't even know what to say of how
number one,
terrible both sides have been on that.
It happened to people. There's so many people saw it.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I mean, you've got the grainy footage of John Kennedy being assassinated.
Oh yeah, well, this
was live and in color, high definition.
Oh yeah, well, because that's his thing. That's what he did. He videoed every single interaction he had. And he put it out. It was social media. Yeah, that's what it was. And man, it caught it. Wow.
And so you have people, one, that have never seen somebody get killed in a violent way. That was very shocking to people. But also, I think there were people who didn't like Charlie Kirk that are very liberal, but do realize that this was very extreme. That was extreme violence against somebody who's never promoted violence.
Well, right.
And so I actually think what it did is it helped galvanize people who are maybe conservative and liberal, but not on the far, more of the center. Well, hang on, this is bullshit. Right. Yeah, this is not right. To murder somebody, we can say assassinated murder, but for somebody to get murdered in front of his family, his children, and all that sort of stuff, simply because of what he said.
Right. It could have been, in a sense, you could have been saying any number of things that you and I absolutely would never agree with, but they don't deserve to be killed like that. That to me that's the uniqueness of our country, is that short of inciting violence yourself, actually actively inciting and getting people to try to do something. And even then you shouldn't kill them. I mean, you can be arrested and whatever and held accountable. Yeah. But in terms of what this was, he was imparting knowledge and his opinion.
His opinion, his point of view, but he would debate it with anybody.
Right.
And he famously would. Yes. He would go and debate people intentionally who didn't agree with him.
Right.
And he always brought it.
Yeah. So. And as much as shouldn't shut him up like that. Okay. Then we had sign an executive order officially naming the Department of Defense. Okay, the Department of War. You know,
I know you weren't a fan of that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Although, again, it's unofficially, as you said, it didn't take. It's a second name, I guess, or a pseudo name or whatever.
Well, some people like it, some people don't. I don't like
if
it costs money. I don't like it. But but I don't mind the connotation.
Well, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got next in October?
45-day U.S. federal government shutdown began, triggering disagreements over funding bills and impact on federal services and highlight healthcare subsidies. And then also Trump authorized midway blitz, deploying the National Guard personnel to major cities like Chicago and Portland to combat crime. Yeah. Well, it has seemed to work.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah,
it has seemed to work in these cities, and a lot of the residents are now going, yeah.
Well,
it's not the politicians are bitching and moaning about it, but you don't hear residents protesting about it, and they're going, hey, because you think about it, especially poor neighborhoods, poor people don't want crime either. Jesus Christ. That's what I don't understand. Crime is not a racial thing. It is not first off, nobody likes crime, but it does affect low socioeconomic people more than it affects rich people. Rich people can afford security. They can afford gated communities. They can afford, there's things that they can afford that poor people cannot. And poor people are stuck where they're stuck.
Yeah. Well, and
they don't want crime in their streets either.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things on that, though, that ended up spinning off later is I guess we found out that the Washington, D.C. police chief was fudging some numbers, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And then not only that, right around in that same time frame, we had a couple of troops get shot.
Assassinated.
And, yeah, so that's that. But, you know, this is so crazy, isn't it, that the same situation was they're heroes, but yet they also shouldn't have been there, and all of this stuff. And it's just so I don't know. I don't know. I get a little dismayed sometimes over some of this stuff. So anyway, all right. So we then had deployed those guys. Let's see.
There was another No Kings protest in October. They estimated 7 million people participated in nationwide rallies.
Well, second time around.
Increase. Yep.
Yeah. But we had both of them, I think, in Wichita Falls, didn't we?
I don't know.
I think we did. We had, it was a minor thing. Nothing ever went. Yeah. Nothing flared up terribly.
The fact of the matter is, it goes back to fine. Go protest.
Yeah.
Now, do not shut down people. Do not get in people's way.
Yeah.
That's one thing that if I was the king, if I was king,
if you were king,
you would be absolutely allowed to protest. But the minute you stepped out in front of somebody's car to keep them from going somewhere or tried to, you ought to get your ass run over.
Well,
you should not be able. You don't have it goes back to the same thing. Your rights end where my nose begins. Yeah. You can swing a punch all you want to, Terry. Right. as long as you don't hit me. But the second you hit me, now you violate my rights.
Right. Now, but I mean, the cops should have the authority to pull you out of the way of a vehicle and arrest you and put you for impeding the traffic.
I think the person you're violating their rights, they should be able to take their law into their own hands. If somebody else, look, I'm not in for vigilantism if people will be allowed, but what happens is these cops, a lot of them have they're handcuffed by their superiors.
Right, exactly.
Well, if you're in a situation like that, what are you supposed to do?
No pun intended, by the way.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's see here. We had November government shutdown ends. Yes, the longest government shutdown in history concluded. U.S. history, I guess it's history too. November 13th, the Department of Justice began releasing thousands of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. What
a creep! But this to me is taken. Just release every bit of it and move on.
Right. Well,
and I think the Trump administration has done a shit job at this. I really do. Well, I think that they did a really poor job at this
back and forth to say, we're going to release it, and then we're not, we're not going to release everything. Yeah. And
release every bit of it. No redactions other than victims' names. Yeah. If you have victims' names, not potential perpetrators. The victim names, release every bit of it.
Right, yeah, exactly. And now something I saw the other day, and I have no way to verify truth, but there's this university professor, I forget which university, Maryland somewhere maybe, I don't know. Anyway, the math department has something to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't know. It's something, an offshoot. He says all this other stuff that we've been dealing with is all a distraction. So we'll see if that comes to anything. But my mom Donnie. That's right. So Zohran Mamdani was elected first Muslim mayor of New York City, and he, I guess, just took office yesterday and has made a executive order that invalidated. All executive orders prior to January of last year.
I don't know.
2024. Well, not last year now, but 2024. In a way,
I really don't give a shit what they do.
No, I know, but anyway. But
as far as I'm concerned, if you're in New York, you voted for this guy, you get what you get.
Yeah, well,
not as long as you don't affect me, I don't care.
Yeah, well, he basically is doing probably what most governors do, or not governors, but mayors come in and they establish their system and get.
I got no reason to go to New York. I didn't lose anything.
Yeah. Abigail Spanberger in Virginia was elected as the state's first female governor. November 13th, the U.S. military launched this operation. Targeting drug trafficking vessels in Caribbean and Pacific, resulting in dozens of deaths. And that's still a big.
That's still
deal.
going on.
Yeah. All right. What do you got there?
In December, terrorist attack on a Hanukkah celebration in Bondi Beach.
Yeah, that was
in Australia, killed 15 people, and then also. Netflix Warner Brothers merger, and Netflix announced it would acquire Warner Brothers Discovery for $72 billion.
Yeah,
this would be a huge shakeup in the entertainment industry and media, not just entertainment.
Right,
the whole media industry.
Yeah, okay.
And then also McLaren's Lando Norris won his first Formula One drivers championship. So if you're into Formula One, and if you watch the Netflix series Drive to Survive, which has gotten massively popular. Lando Norris has won. McLaren. The neat thing about McLaren, the team principal is Zach Brown, an American who runs McLaren.
All right. Well, now back to the Hanukkah.
He's the CEO of McLaren.
Yeah, but back to that terrorist attack. I guess with some threats coming down, I guess through intel throughout the world. And related to this, some of the New Year's Eve celebrations are curtailed a bit because of it. So, but I guess somehow we survived. So, hey, real quick,
didn't hear of any major attacks anywhere on New Year's Eve.
Well, which is good.
Yeah.
And again, there's where this should not be political. If there's a true threat, then the intel should be shared to the appropriate folks in order to either increase, and that's, I think, and yes, that costs extra when that happens. Our government at all levels ends up spending more money in order to do that, but I think that's part of their job, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And in order, because we've got to stand up. We shouldn't be canceling and cowering to these
You can't.
Evil people. But this was two individuals. There's a whole nother story. We really never talked about it, I guess. But anyway, all of that to say, but I want to touch on one. I guess if I had to pick one thing, because I was thinking about what technology stories there were, but I think there's one ongoing story that is really what happened in 2026. It has to do with AI. Look at where AI has come. I think. I'm sorry, 2025.
I just want to make sure.
Yes. Yes, 2025.
Are you telling us? Are you taking on the future?
Yes, I'm thinking about in the future. In a way, yes, I will probably talk on that for a minute. But so really, AI has taken off and had probably its biggest single year of acceleration. Sure, it popped on the scene 3 years ago now, and like late 2022, and I think, and then we into 2023. And of course, or maybe it was late 2023. Anyway, whatever it was, this last year has really seen some acceleration, because now I played with some things that I hadn't played with here with one of the with the deal we did with the Santa pictures and everything. And I took a still photo. Did I show you this? No. Okay, I took a still photo of our Santa that was there that I had. I've never met the guy at the time. So I took that photo. It was a graphic that was made like in Canva or something, and it had Rudolph and it had all. Anyway, I adjusted it a little bit, but then I asked an AI to go in and animate Santa, and all I did was upload the picture and say I want to animate this the Santa on here, and I want to give it a Santa voice, and I want it to say this. And it did it. It was incredibly. It was wow. I don't know. Anyway, I finally got to play with the animation thing, and it was incredible. And so I've been using it more this year, obviously, than I ever have, and it's been indispensable. But also, we got to keep. So this next year, I think we're going to find the limits on what we're doing, and I think legislation is finally going to start. Hopefully, legislation, it needs to be regulated at some level. It's just a question, again, a matter of degree and who and where and all of that. And I think that's really where we're at. But this last year has just seen so many advances in it, and I think there's going to be some things. We're going to have agents now. I think we're going to start to see, and I mean an agent, like you're going to have a software program that it's going to be somebody. It's going to be an AI that sits there and does things for you in the background. It's going to start to remind you of things, or it's going to pick up things and notify you of things, and all of that. So if you don't know how to use it, you got to use it. I mean, you hate it. I know we don't like it, but it's reality. It's here, and it's not going away. So
the computers are here.
That's it. They're taking over.
The computers are here. Yeah. Our overlords are
there we go.
So.
All right. So I guess we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah. Please join us next Friday morning at 7:30.
Yeah.
As we continue on 2026. We want to say Happy New Year once again. And our guests will start back up next week. Erica Munt with Campfire will be on us. And she's been a long-term guest. She's been on this podcast as well as the radio show.
Right. Absolutely. And so just, stay with us. And we thank you for being with us and supporting us and watching this and sharing it and all that good stuff. Let's just hope that everybody's healthy, has a good, healthy 2026 and happy and healthy.
There you go.
And then we'll kind of go from there. So I guess we'll wrap it up. Like Mike always said, that we'll see you down the road.